Hi everyone, and welcome back to another TFT masterclass. I'm Upsetmax with Fake Gamer, and today we're going to be talking about the top 3 mistakes that you should be leaving behind in 2025. So the 3 mistakes that we're going to be talking about today is going to be scouting, not maintaining tempo, so we'll be talking about what tempo is, and then also very important, the augment and the anomaly selection stages. So I think these are the 3 biggest mistakes, and being able to fix these for the upcoming year is going to be super important. Okay, so let's talk about scouting first. So it's extremely important concepts and part of the game. Also very important at all stages of the game, as this will give you crucial info about your opponent's boards. So first off, it'll tell you what the average board strength of the lobby is. Is it strong? Is it weak? Are you able to win streak stage 2? Are boards rather strong? This is going to be pretty important to know. Also, which comps are being played, whether it is like reroll or if it's like 4 cost. You could tell just based off of the augments and also just from someone's opener which side to position. So essentially just being able to position based off of the opponent's positioning, how much gold your opponents have. Are they going fast 9? Are people rolling on level 8? Are they sitting? If they're at 0 gold, then most of the time they will have a stronger board, and if they're at 50 gold, most of the time they will have a weaker board, just because they have not rolled in that case. And then the very last one is like being able to deny important carousel picks. This is more so for the mid to late game. For example, if someone is playing like vertical rebel and it's just you two, then you want to be denying like the rebel spats. This is kind of a specific example, but it's still extremely important, and you will know this from scouting. Always make sure that you're scouting about the last 5 seconds of each combat round to determine the correct positioning for your opponents that are in your pool. So after, I think, stage 2-5, so after the initial carousel, you are at stage 2-6 actually, you will now have 3 opponents in your pool, and you will see this from like a X or like a combat next to their name. So just being able to scout these 3 opponents, see where their positioning is, and being able to position accordingly is very important for each round. So that is kind of the intro into scouting. Moving on to the scouting augment section. So this is really important, as this will give you also information to what your opponents are playing. So if they have a reroll augment, you can now see exactly what sort of reroll composition they're playing. So in this case, you can either avoid contesting, or you can like hold some of their units, or even now temple from your spot if you both have the same opener. Item augments. If your opponents have a lot of item augments, this means that they will be strong stage 2. This is because on stage 2, there are just not that many items. On average, there will be 3 components. So that is only 1.5 completed items. So getting a full item, or even like some components from your item augments, means that you will be stronger on stage 2. You can scout around, and then vice versa. Non-combat or like mid to late game augments means that these players will be weaker on stage 2. For example, like over encumbered, pumping up, essentially anything that comes later into the game, essentially such as like latent forge as well. And then also any specific comp augments such as lone hero. In this case, you know, they're playing like, or most likely playing Lux reroll. There's a couple other ones as well. One for all means that we're rolling 1 cost, for example, like the powder family violet line. So some of these specific comp augments will also allow you to know what your opponents are playing. So that's all for scouting. Moving on to maintaining the lobby tempo. So first, let's talk about what is tempo. Tempo is essentially the average board strength / pace of the lobby, and this can be varied from a few factors here. So the first one is going to be the level of natural resources. So this will come from your player versus environment rounds, so your PvE. This is going to be like your Krugs, your minions, your raptors, etc. For example, if it is a gold start from your minions, this means that the average pace of the lobby will be a little bit faster. Players will be able to make earlier interest, which will lead to higher interest levels being achieved even earlier. Vice versa, if there is no gold Krugs, then that means that the tempo in the mid to late game will be a little bit slower. You'll see less 4-1s. Most of the time you'll be seeing 4-2s, and players will not be able to hit as hard. And then the other way around, if you get dropped a prismatic orb, now players have support anvils, they have artifact anvils, they have extra items, maybe even like 5 costs. So this means that the tempo will be a lot faster, and you will have to play to that, or else you will be left behind. The tiers of the augments will also vary. So for example, a triple prismatic lobby means that the average board strength of the lobby is going to be very strong versus like a silver. And then the last one is starting encounter can also affect this. So scuttle puddle, now everyone will be rich, everyone will have econ, versus no encounter where there is no bonus natural resource, or even like a work encounter where now you're essentially want to tempo as you will have loot on kill, and this will also affect like which augments you'll want to take. So how do we maintain tempo then? It is important to level at the correct times. The main ones, level 4 on 2-1 if you have a strong or regional board, level 5 on 2-5 if you did this. One of the base ones, level 6 on 3-2 is kind of a staple. You'll be going level 7 on 3-5 or 4-1 if you can. And then level 8 is either going to be a fast level 8 on 4-1, a regular level 8 on 4-2, or a slow level 8 in a low resource game on 4-5. So being able to follow this leveling is extremely important. Also not greeting for best in slot and slamming early items, even if they're like kind of suboptimal, as long as they're able to help you in your early game save HP and hopefully win some rounds, then that is much better than just greeting for best in slots. Focusing on building a strong early board and either taking like a econ or item augment for stage 2 will help you keep up with tempo throughout the game. And then also not overrolling on unideal levels. So for example, if you're playing kind of like a level 8 board and you have a lot of pairs on level 6 and you're trying to preserve your win streak, it's okay to roll like one or twice, even looking for it in. Sometimes you do this on level 7 as well, but you don't want to be spending too much gold on these levels because the most efficient rolls will be on level 8 in this case. And then the very last one is going to be adapting to your opponent's spots. If you scout around and you see that someone is going to be winning out from a Chem Baron cash out, this means that now you want to be playing for placements, because you most of the time will not be able to outcap them. So in this case, you just want to tempo a little bit harder, level, push, and kind of save HP from the spot, because you know that once this Chem Baron player catches out, they'll be beating everyone that they face. So this is an example of adapting to your opponent's spots and maintaining tempo at the same time. Okay, and the very last one is going to be selecting augments and anomalies. So augments and anomalies are super important, and they will increase every strength of a board by X depending on what is chosen. So one thing to remember is that all players will be receiving augments, all players will be receiving anomalies. So this means that all boards within the game will be increasing in power. So you need to make sure that you are choosing a good augment or a good anomaly to maintain the same power jump or the same power level as your opponent's boards. So for example, if all 7 other players are choosing good augments or good anomalies, let's say they go from power level a board from like 5 to like 7, but you're not choosing a good one, you only go from 5 to 6, now you're going to be behind on the average board strength, and you will have a harder time beating these boards after these rounds. So let's go into a little bit of the augment selection here. Of course, there are 3 tiers: silver, gold, and prismatic. For silver augments, the best ones are going to be econ or items, especially on 2-1. So if you think of some of these, Band of Thieves gives you a full Thieves Gloves on 2-1. This will really allow you to help you win streak. Over Encumbered, super good. This is more of a stage 3 win out, because this doesn't benefit you at all stage 2. And then a couple of really good econ ones: Fire Sale, Insane, Rolling for Days is a lot of gold as well. So this is the type of augments you want to be going for silver. Gold allows you to essentially get anything, so both econ emblems are good, items or combo are also good as well. So for example, like All That Shimmers, Portable Forge, Starry Night Contested, gold augments kind of encompass everything. And then prismatic is more of emblems, combat, or items. So if you think of like Prismatic Pipeline, Bronze for Life combat, and Exalted Adventure, Lucky Gloves combat, these are the sort of prismatic ones that you'll be taking instead. Item augments are more strong early, as I explained earlier, because in early game stage 2, there are very few items, so being able to get a full extra item compared to everyone else will help you win rounds. And remember that items also stack multiplicatively, so having a 2-item carry is just a lot stronger than a 1-item carry. Combat augments are normally going to be a stronger later, and econ augments will be strong early to mid game, because the earlier you're able to build up your econ, the easier it will be to maintain that econ in the mid game, and will set you up for your late game here. So that's for augments. And then for the anomaly selection, so a new thing for this set, so remember this will always come on 4-6, the final combat round of stage 4. Usually you will have 2 units that you can anomalize or evolve, and this is either going to be your main damage carry or your main tank. Now, Mordog had let us know recently that the anomaly options after the Macau patch are unique for the first 12 options, and then starting on your 13th option, they can start to repeat. So what does this mean? This means that you should be looking for a rather reasonable anomaly option within your first 12 options, whether it be for your main tank or your main carry. Now, you really need to understand the purpose or goal of the composition you're playing in order to really create a efficient board state from your evolution. So, for example, if you're playing a stall comp, let's say you're playing like Heimerdinger, let's say you're playing Silco, or even like a Zoe with a Rage Blade, this means that these units and your damage is going to be increasing the longer the fight goes on. So if you're a stall comp, then ideally you want to be evolving your frontline Alawi, your frontline Garen, for example, or even like your frontline Mundo. Any dive or melee comp, so like the Nocturne board or like the Violet board, any of these like melee carries, you are going to want to evolve your melee carry and give them bonus damage, survivability, or damage amp. And then any fast-paced comps, so think like Corki and Bessa, where you're same side the enemy backline, you're really trying to pierce through, just damage and damage amp is super important as well. So really understanding like the purpose and goal of the comp that you're playing and being able to evolve the units that you have around that will help you a lot and will really boost the power of your board. Alright, so that's everything for today. We'll go over the tips that we talked about today, and then we'll finish things off with Q&A. So the top 3 mistakes that you should be leaving behind in 2025 is not scouting, making sure that you're really vigilant, not just chilling on your own board, checking out what the opponents are playing, and that will really help you kind of navigate throughout the game. Not maintaining tempo, making sure that you're leveling the right time, you're slamming items, you're keeping up with the average pace of the lobby, and then also choosing a good augment and choosing a good anomaly is super important as well for increasing your odds of top 4ing and doing well in your game. So that's been everything for today. Have a great day, and I'll see you next week.